If religion cannot guarantee insight into who Jesus is, what can? In this video, we will explore this through the story of the nobleman from Capernaum. And we will do this by first conversationally reading his story in John chapter 4, verses 46 through 54. And then by briefly touching on 3 nuances that I heard in this story, ones that have helped this passage come alive to me. So buckle up. Here we go. My name is Charles Yerkes, and this is the Simple, Not Shallow YouTube channel. And the whole purpose of this channel is to help you relate to the Bible by helping it come alive to you, one reading at a time. Now, if you like what you hear, please click that like and subscribe button, and make sure to tag that little gray bell icon that tells YouTube that you want to be notified as each new video is posted. And please, feel free to share this with whoever you'd like. So, if religion does not guarantee insight into who Jesus is, what does? Well, let's begin by reading John chapter 4, verses 46 through 54 from the World English Bible. Jesus came, therefore, again to Cana of Galilee, where he had made the water into wine. Now there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum, and when he heard that Jesus had come out of Judea and into Galilee, well, he went to him and begged him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Jesus, therefore, said to him, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will in no way believe." The nobleman said to him, "Sir, come down, before my child dies." Jesus said to him, "Go your way. Your son lives." Well, the man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him and went his way. And as he was going down, his servants met him and reported, saying, "Your child lives." And so he inquired of them the hour when he began to get better. And they said to him, "Yesterday, at the 7th hour, the fever left him." So the father knew that it was at that hour in which Jesus had said to him, "Your son lives." Well, he believed, as did his whole house. This is again the second sign that Jesus did, having come out of Judea into Galilee. So it would seem that the answer to what can give insight into Jesus is Jesus himself. Now keep watching, because now we're going to touch on those 3 different nuances I told you about, that made this answer leap from the page. Nuance number 1. This comes from remembering our last 2 videos on John chapter 4, and yes, I'll link to those below. But these are where we learned that Jesus was not as honored by the religiously correct of his own country as he had been by the religiously incorrect of Samaria. For the Samaritans sought the Messiah, and his own people merely sought trinkets and wonders. Trinkets and wonders. And by remembering 2 other stories in which people who asked Jesus to heal someone. Now in these stories, those asking were commended for having a greater faith than anyone else in Israel. Now these stories appear in Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 13, and in the book of Luke, chapter 7 through 10. And each of these passages tell a story about a Roman centurion, a Roman commander, who asked Jesus to heal a servant. Now, like the Samaritans, right, these Romans would qualify as not being from Jesus' own country, right? They asked for the healing, and Jesus said that he had not seen such faith among all the Israelites. Whereas our man begs for the healing, and Jesus says to the people, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will in no way believe." What's the difference? All of them were simply asking for a healing, right? Perhaps it's that they weren't asking from the same perspective. And this is nuance number 1. See, notice, that when the Romans asked, they acknowledged that they were unworthy of Jesus coming to their house, and both of them knew that he had the authority to command the healing. That is, he could simply speak it into existence. The Romans knew that there was more to Jesus than his gifts of healing, and they asked accordingly. The nobleman, on the other hand, did not. Oh, he knew the gifts had been given to others, and he knew that they had worked, and he trusted in those signs. Well, he even knew that it was Jesus who was handing them out. But he didn't know or even suspect the authority that Jesus had. And, unlike the Romans, he was missing out on the fact that there was more to Jesus than his being a giver of gifts. He missed out that it was Jesus' authority to command the gifts. Yet, and here is where the sparkle is, and yet, and here is where the magic lies, and yet, and here, by the way, is nuance number 2. When Jesus said to those standing around, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will in no way believe." Well, something changed for this nobleman. Something clicked. For the nobleman's next words, "Come down," are a request that borders on a command. He is no longer begging. It's like he suddenly sees that there is more to the one he is asking than he first realized. He is now asking a favor from one who has the authority to command it, which is more than merely asking for a handout. And it is quite similar to how the Romans were asking. Now, what if, and here is a mind bender for you, what if, and this is also nuance number 3, what if verse 48, which says, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will in no way believe." What if this is a statement of amazement over their lack of faith, much as his statement of amazement was in Mark chapter 6, verse 6. This is where Jesus marveled because of unbelief. I am also reminded of Mark chapter 9, verse 24, where a man asks Jesus to heal his son, and he says, "If you could." Jesus in reply says, "If, all things are possible to those who believe." At which point that man says, "Oh, I believe, help my unbelief." What if that is what is happening right here? That when Jesus marveled at his lack of faith, at that precise moment, the nobleman's religion stopped getting in the way and he saw Jesus. Now notice, after this, he no longer insists that Jesus comes down to Capernaum. He simply believed Jesus when he said that the boy was healed, much as the Romans had done. It's like, well, Jesus' amazement and disappointment at a lack of faith was the personal touch needed by this man to start him seeing who Jesus was. A personal touch from Jesus. Once again, Jesus has interacted with an individual as that individual needed to be interacted with, and that individual came to believe. The need for this personal touch runs throughout the entire Bible. I mean, we've seen it in our video on Psalm 1, I'll link to that below, and it's even stated clearly in John 15, which will be a future video. For abiding in Christ always involves a personal touch, a very personal touch. Anyway, what do you think? What examples have you seen of Jesus' personal touch making a difference in somebody's life? Do you have a personal example of Jesus doing what mere religion could not? I'd love to hear from you. So please tell me in the comment section below. Also, if you liked this video, please click that like and subscribe button. And once you click that subscribe button, make sure to tag that little gray bell icon. This will help you keep informed each time a new video is posted. And please, share this with whoever you'd like. Thank you. And until next time, love simply, love wisely, and love well. For that is where excitement and meaning in life dwell.